A couple of days ago, I shared my education plan for Chicago. And look, this is not a personal attack on Mayor Daley. Mayor Daley is somebody who I worked with for many years, and I think he's done a tremendous job in this city. And he's done some marvelous things. The issue is that this isn't about Mayor Daley or any one person. It's about what we need to do as a city to take our city forward. One thing I'm not going to do as a candidate for mayor is maintain the status quo or pay homage to the status quo. There's simply too many things that still need to be fixed at the Chicago Public Schools. Half of our CPS students don't graduate. We're looking at as much as a $500, $600, $700 million deficit again next year. Enrollment is down 30,000 students from when I was president of the Chicago School Board. And there are way too many people that want to get into fine schools like this at Andrew Jackson. Or the other day, we were told about the lines outside of Walter Payton, where parents had to wait in blocks-long lines to get their children into the best programs in Chicago. You know, I aim to do something about that. This is going to be a campaign where I do bring forward big ideas, because that's what people expect. And the area that we will bring the biggest ideas in is in public education. This is not the place to shrink from what we think it'll take to take our education system to the highest quality in the country. I will not stop thinking big. I absolutely intend to start thinking even bigger. We are not going to accept the status quo, and that's what my education plan is about. This is not the time for small ideas or being defensive about what we have in place. As the mayor himself said, it's time to move on. And so I think with the campaign on now, you're absolutely right. People are going to be bringing forward ideas about subjects that they may not have spoken about before, because we are holding ourselves out as candidates. And we are obliged to tell people what our opinions, what our ideas, and our detailed plans are for taking these various institutions forward. I don't think that people would expect anything less. And this is also why I've called for 10 debates, and I wish they would start as early as possible so we can get these ideas out there and show the contrast between the candidates. Thank you.
Gery, one of the critics of your plan on Tuesday suggested that what you were proposing would cost $1.4 billion to implement. Everything from the computers to the lengthened school days and school year. Where would you possibly get that much money?
Well, first,
that estimate is 1 point.
Well, first of all, you have to accept the premise of that math, Charles. I don't know who did. You know who the candidate was? Who was the candidate?
Manuel.
Rahm Emanuel. I don't subscribe to Rahm Emanuel's math.
His people, by the way, not him personally.
Well, let's have him personally come out and say it. Okay, number one. Number two, if he wants to, if him and his people want to overpay for the program, that's their prerogative. You know, I have some experience with the math at the Chicago Public Schools. I also offered up on that day, Charles, to be honest about things, ways that we can begin to generate money to pay for these ideas. I offered up a reduction in the size of the central office by 1/3, which may by itself bring anywhere from 70 to 80, maybe even $90 million by itself. I also offered up ideas about reductions in energy costs, transportation costs, food, and doing things in a whole different way in terms of procurement in general. And since you brought up the idea today about somebody challenging how we would come up with ways to pay for these things, I wasn't prepared to do this today, but I'll do it now. I'm in support of a land-based casino facility in Chicago, just as I was in 1992 when the idea was first brought to this city, and Mayor Daley named me the point person to handle that project. I'm pretty optimistic that the land-based casino alone, owned by the city and licensed to a third-party operator, might by itself be able to generate as much as $250 million for the city of Chicago. I would in turn suggest that the city of Chicago, just as Mayor Daley proposed in 1992, redirect those monies to help our public education system and pay for a longer school day, a longer school year, an expanded preschool network, laptops, and new technology for all of our students. Why shouldn't we aspire for the best for our children? I'm not going to be daunted by what looks to be large price tags. I didn't say this program was without a cost, but nothing in life worth having And especially when it comes to the education of our students, that's worth fighting for.
Gery, politically, it's not necessarily a bad thing that you're ruffling the mayor's feathers. In fact, a lot of voters are looking to see who's not a clone of this mayor going forward. So, I mean, are you shrinking back from?
Oh no, I always tell the truth, Ed. I always tell the truth. I call them the way I see them. You know, people ask who's tougher, who's this, who's that. I stand on my own 2 feet, and I brought forward a detailed education plan that can take our education system to the top ranks in this country. If it ruffles some feathers, what am I going to do about that? I mean, we're not going to run away. We have to fight for the moms and dads and kids in these schools, and if that means that some people are upset about it, that's the way it is. I can't help
Well,
that.
it's not some people, it's the guy who's been running the city for more than 2 decades.
Well, there's probably other people too. I mean, you're going to see other candidates take shots at this thing. But you know what? At least this is a campaign with ideas, big thinking. We brought forward an idea, in my view, one of the most important issues that will take place after Mayor Daley leaves. Where do we want to take our city? What do we want our education system to become? So I'm fully confident about what I said. And you know what? Sometimes you let the chips fall where the chips fall. I said in the beginning, I wasn't taking a personal shot at anybody. I don't believe in that. In fact, I said I thought Mayor Daley did a good job, and I'll continue to say that because the truth is the truth is the truth. Any other questions? All right, thank you all. I'm going to let you guys rest. Well, it's a little bit cold out here today.
Thanks a lot.
All right.